Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are joined once again by our teen life coach, better known as myteenlifecoach.com. Liezel Lane is her name. How are you today?
Hi, Joel. It's good. Life is good right now. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Stressful times going on. I got my son's communion. We have a vacation coming up. We got a pool being built. We have so many
Oh my
things.
gosh, that is a lot.
Oh, religion tonight, baseball tonight. It's nonstop. I'm praying for the end of the school year.
I know
How's
it is.
everything with you?
It's very much everybody's at that heightened space right now. Graduations are coming up and grad parties, and everybody's trying to get their final results in for school and grades and all that stuff. But yeah, it's been pretty busy. It's not too bad on my side. Work has been just consistent and busy, but not like I'm not experiencing that super high, end of year thing yet. I'm sure it's coming.
Well, pleasure to have you here. Would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners? Thank you.
Yes, of course. MyTeenLifeCoach.com. My name is Liezel Lane. I am the lead coach, the CEO, and the founder of this practice. And what we do is Cameron and I and the team, our digital marketing team, we really reach out to teenagers and parents and families around helping teenagers, young adults, emerging adults become resilient, learn life skills, and kind of know how to trudge through the mud of the 10 years of adolescence so that when they get to the other side, they know exactly who they are, what they are, where they're going to be, how they're going to be it. And so we coach to the person and we do not coach to the problem. And that's the key to helping them get to the other side.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Well, yeah, would love to get to the other side. When you're in the thick of it with teenagers, oh my goodness, every stage has its hardship. But you're mostly working with adolescents, right? And then young adults.
Yeah. The youngest kids we work with are about 13 years old, and then our oldest young adults are like 20 to 23 years old. And then, of course, we are equally busy with parents and parent coaching. So very often, we'll get a parent who's saying, I don't know what to do with this kid. Like, why won't they ever leave their bedroom? Or how do I get them to get their homework done and stuff like that? So sometimes, for example, we're working with a family where there are many children, and sometimes coaching the parents is better, more effective in helping the kids than having to coach the kids directly. So it's kind of a multidisciplinary approach.
Lisa, would you mind give me 1 second? You of only people can understand this. This is my doctor. Would you mind? I'm not kidding. Hello? Hi, this is Jill. Yes, Jill Nicolini, 11078. You can tell me my results. Benign, good. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Understand that. I'm so I would never do that. It's not professional, but that was my doctor. I had a colonoscopy and an endoscopy on Monday afternoon. And so they said that something looked a little suspicious. Like I had to take that call. And I love you. Thank you for being here, for understanding.
100%.
Benign. The stuff they took out of the small intestine and stomach was benign. So I got goosebumps. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me that moment.
Well, that is super important.
It's good news. Okay.
Thank you. That's good. I'm glad I could
I'd be through it. I'm like, either I'd be crying or I'm still crying right now because it's good news, but could have been bad news. Okay. I'm sorry. I forgot what we were talking about.
You're fine. Do you need a moment?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Those are always good news moments, right? When they call with the good stuff.
Yes. All right.
Yeah. Breathe. We can make space for this. It's okay.
One thing down. Yes. Okay, good.
Yes, 100%. Well, I thought that today I would do a little bit of a storytelling session with you.
Love your
Not very
stories.
often do we get a chance to do like a
Mhm.
case study and talk about an actual example. So I just thought that might really be good. I met with a client last week, and the way we worked through this issue was not just common and real, but it was particularly it landed. It was particularly effective. And when I was thinking about, what would the world want to hear today, I really was thinking about this particular case because it lands for everybody. So I figured I would share how we worked through this and how that kind of turns out for everybody. So, for the sake of anonymity and confidentiality, I'm just going to call this young lady Sarah.
Okay.
I do not have a Sarah in my practice right now, so I'm just making sure I can protect my clients. And Sarah is a sophomore in high school. She is an introverted, sensitive young lady who is extremely creative. She's a beautiful vocal artist, and she's a hard worker in general. She's a good kid. And the reason why she came into coaching in the first place was because of her introversion. And we've spoken about introversion with adolescents before, and what a challenge that can be for them, especially when there's social stuff going on and making friends and building relationships and so forth. But she also has social anxiety, and we realized just recently some separation anxiety, which was a new discovery. And so the day before our session, she texted me, and she said, I'm having a major anxiety attack. I don't know what to do. And all of the normal strategies that we had developed were not working. So typically she would know, like at school, she would go to the bathroom and she would do a tapping exercise, which is when you tap all the very important, like,
I've
points
heard of tapping.
on your body, right? And it calms your nervous system down. Asking a friend to come with her, all of the usual stuff just didn't work. So we agreed that it was time for her just to check out for the day and go home, and that we would discuss and kind of do a quarterback session the next day. So we met up, and we started to discover how procrastination affects her confidence and increases her anxiety levels on a very subconscious level. So it goes that 2 weeks ago, she received a very big project, which would take about 2 weeks to do. And at the time, her motivation level was down and her stress levels were down, right? She was in a chill space. So when we look at that stress resilience curve that you and I had spoken about before, she was like on the low end. So the mindset that came with that was, I know what I need to do, but it's not urgent enough. I've got time, right? So then time goes on. She gets a little bit busier and busier. She's stressed, but at that point, like now a week later, she is saying to herself, I'm cool, I'm cool, I'm cool. Now we're hitting deadline time, and she knows it's not a good idea for her to pull all-nighters. So we had already discovered that in our previous conversations. However, she was now on the wire, so she had to pull an all-nighter. And as a result of that, her stress and anxiety levels just shot up to like uncontrollable moments. And when she had her episode at school, she was at the point of feeling sick, nauseous, throwing up, couldn't breathe, etc. So we could leave it at that. We could leave it at that level, saying, okay, lesson learned, don't do all-nighters, don't, make sure you don't procrastinate, make sure you do your projects earlier. But there was something deeper involved with this. And this is where parents, us, individuals, we can all learn from. When you're coaching the problem, you're not getting to the root cause.
Yeah.
So we decided to take a little bit of time and really talk about how in the beginning of our engagement, we really were talking a lot about her need for journaling and self-acceptance.
Okay.
So now people will look at me and go, what has self-acceptance and journaling got to do with the fact that she left her project to the last minute and had to pull an all-nighter, right? But there's a very strong part of that, because when there is no self-acceptance taking place, then there's avoidance and there's a pushing down. I call it pushing down the beach ball. If you take a beach ball and you push it down into the water, when you let it go, what's going to happen? It's going to shoot right out, right? So it's going to shoot back up. And that's what happens is when you're in that avoidance, self-sabotage place, you've taken your beach ball of emotions and thoughts and things, and you're trying to shove it down, but it's just a matter of time when you've got to let it go, and then it's going to come up. So we decided to go back to ground zero and identify who she was as an entire human being. So I'll share with you some of the things that she wrote down. So when we meet in person, because she's introverted, we do these little writing things. I'll write the beginning of a sentence, then I'll pass the notebook to her, then she'll finish the writing, and then we go back and forth like this. So this is our. It will be interesting to see if you pick up like the opposites, right? So some of the things that came out were: I am an anxious person, loving, stubborn, feeling type of person, introvert, singer, caring, person who fears the unknown, warrior, kind, a crier, a person who puts others first, and a person who overthinks. So you take those words that could apply to anybody, and it's both the warm and fuzzies, and it's the dark side. And so what we do is we really try to focus on how you can bring both of those things together, that they can coexist together. Because often when kids are procrastinating, or they're only focusing on the bad, they're not focusing on, hey, I am emotional and I can still continue to do this thing. Normally, we're shoving the other things down, like those beach balls. So you've got 10 beach balls you're trying to shove down, and they're all just popping up like popcorn, right? So what we did was, I said to her, if you had diabetes, what would you have to accept? Right? And she said, well, I would have to accept that I would have to test myself a lot and watch what I eat, and it would be serious because I would be disciplined about it because it affects my life, right? So then I said, so why would being an anxious person be any different? Is being an anxious, nervous person almost the equivalent of having diabetes? It's you, it's who you are, it's what you have for your whole life. That is how you're made up. So why would you try to shove that away and not just accept it? And so then she brought up the example of, it's like I'm in a wheelchair. It's my wheelchair, and I want to accept that nervousness and anxiety and teary-eyed and sensitive is part of my wheelchair, my diabetes, whatever that metaphor would be, because those things in society are tangible, you can see them, but anxiety and introversion and those cannot be seen, those cannot be felt, and it's not widely accepted that it's okay for us to accept that part of ourselves. So she came up with this beautiful image of her sitting in the wheelchair of her anxiety and holding a cereal bowl in her hands. And I said, well, tell me about this cereal bowl. She goes, I think all these things, the warrior, being kind, a crier, a person who puts others first, that's kind of like I'm putting those pebbles in my cereal bowl and I'm holding it, and it feels heavy, but it's real. It's who I am. So then it was beautiful, because then she said, so if I can just accept that this is who I am, and then right away after that, she took this very deep breath, like suddenly there was space in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And so we then started our little back and forth conversation, and I wrote down, I said, I am okay with this because, right?
Yeah.
And she said, because the qualities I have make me, and that can't change.
Hmm.
And then I wrote, and it feels, and she said, harsh at first, but they can be hard to deal with. But at the same time, it feels comforting because I am used to that, right?
Yeah.
So then I wrote back and I said, so she said, accept me.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I know and she said, will feel better about myself and who I am. Then I'll be able to overcome the most of the negativity I feel. So I said, okay, now you've accepted your being, your humanness, everything that makes you up. So when you have those feelings of disappointment about yourself, she said, I will overcome it and come to terms with it. I will try to have to move the energy. So this was beautiful. I will try to move the energy of what I have from this into studying.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I get angry with myself,
Yeah.
I will take a breath and move on. I know that it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to mess up.
Mm.
It's the process of life. This is a 13, 14-year-old kid. Okay. Even though I think everybody is sick of me, I know I can't change myself, especially not for them. I need to understand that if they don't accept who I am, then they are not my friends.
Yeah.
And so at the end of that, the tears were flowing. It was like she could say, yes, and yes, and right. And then after that, we were able to go to the do parts. So then she became excited about, okay, how do I chunk my time and focus on these things? And she created bits and spaces of her day so that she could get caught up and, all of the things around what was the initial problem, which was I bunked out on my project because I pulled an all-nighter and then I had an anxiety attack, right?
Yeah.
So this is such a classic example, Jill, of we start with I'm failing, I'm procrastinating, I hate myself, my friends think I'm a pain. We start there. But through the coaching process, it really goes to who am I? Who am I to me? And how do I want to work with that? Now, one of the mistakes that adults will make is they assume that these adolescents do not have the capacity to think so deeply. But here we have just been demonstrated a beautiful example of somebody who came full circle on herself and was so mature and deep and understanding of herself because she was given the space and the time to be there, to be with it, to draw the parallels of my anxiety is my wheelchair and therefore I can accept that because this is my space.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. We'll see. I see her on Friday, so we'll see how she does this week. But I haven't heard anything, so I'm assuming no news is good news at this point.
You're so sweet. I wish I could work with you every day. There's something about you that's just so, makes you want to talk, makes you want to listen. It's like, okay, I'll try that, Liezel. I'll be this way. I don't know. I'm sure your kids would probably disagree because they're your kids, right?
Right.
That's the difference, right?
That's exactly right.
Be like so amazing, and so, but to your children, you're like a monster. Not saying that you are, but
I get it. Yeah.
Right?
And you touch on a really important point. Sometimes you have to delegate your kids out to another positive adult who can help do the work because, it does take a village. That is such a cliche thing, but it seriously takes a village to raise these kids. And it's so much more complicated in today's times. I've been wanting to try to put something together for like the chat
Oh, chat
GPT.
GPT. I really,
Yes.
I've been hearing about this AI stuff for months. And then I finally spoke to someone who was an expert on this. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, I can't believe the things that this stuff could do. It can like
Yeah.
write for you. It can make, oh, someone did chat GPT with me on one of the shows, right? He's an illustrator and he's an awesome guy. He actually made what do you call it? A superhero character from me. He by typing in my name, Jill Nicolini, it researched whoever I was, whatever, and it made a superhero with like my initials on my chest. And it looked like me, but it not only looked like me, it gave me 8 different versions to choose from. Like one with glasses, one with like a little like a difference here, like little differences, and you get to pick the one like it made me from all the images that it saw like online.
Oh
Like
my
it's amazing. You
goodness.
could tell it what to do, and it does. And it's like
Oh my
it's
goodness. It's
scary.
very scary. So
Yeah.
I've been getting calls from parents saying, how do I manage this chat GPT
Mm-hmm.
AI stuff? And and I'm not on top of it yet. I'm still like doing the research and trying to figure out like, how can we, because this is like now go back 10 years when suddenly there was social media and Instagram and Snapchat, and it was the same kind of frenzy that parents had around that is now it's bubbling back up, but now with this AI stuff. And it's a challenge for professionals like me because we're still trying to learn in real time what it is, what the effects are, and so it can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes. Like, for example, I was talking to a colleague of mine who is in undergrad admissions for a very prominent university, and they were mentioning to me how oh gosh, what was the point I was going to make? It was around, what was I talking about? I was talking about the AI, and then the bubbling up of Instagram and all of that stuff, and so they were talking about how the COVID research is only starting to surface now. So we're like 3 years after COVID, and only now are we beginning to get like what the effects really were based on the research and stuff. So it always seems to feel like there's like a 2 or 3 year lag when something new pops up like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, okay, now we got to like scramble and try to catch up so that we can be there to support the parents. So yeah, I need to get on top of that one too.
You're so good. You're so good. Wait a second. I also got to show you my glasses. I told you they look like yours, right? These are
Yes,
my reading glasses, but you can't. I can't keep them on now. But they kind of look like yours.
they do.
Are
Yeah,
they?
same color almost.
Are they like? Do you have a little brown on the sides too?
Um, Not mine, no.
No, no. These are they DKNY. I don't know, but I'm so excited. I gotta find, and now I have other
And are
glasses
you
too.
wearing them? You
No, I
need
don't
to be
even wear
wearing them.
them. But I'm reading now. I feel like it makes it blurry. I mean, when I have to look down like at my phone or the computer, but it's like
Mhm.
I'm just learning soon. Sorry.
Yeah, so I actually have two different kinds. This is the one that I'll use when I'm working. So
Ah,
they're my gray ones.
why do you
And
choose
then
them
these
when
are
you're working? Are they bigger lenses?
these ones are the bigger lenses, so it's easier for me on the computer. But
Okay.
these ones are transition, so I can do this and I'm not affected.
Ah.
So like right now, if I do this, I can see you. If I do this,
Yeah,
I
they gave
can't.
me those to start, and it gave me a headache. I sent them back. I said, I
Yeah.
don't want that. I'll take 2 separate pairs. I'm not even wearing
Yes.
them yet. But one
So
day
I
you get used to it eventually.
Yes, you do. You do. So these are the ones I always wear with the computer.
Sorry to digress. Can't
You're
help.
fine. You're fine. I'm glad you're happy. I can feel that the stress of the
The
last few days
biopsy from the
is
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like, yeah, you're kind of beginning to let it just like flow down.
Oh, thank you.
So
I'm
I
talking
can
to you.
understand if you're feeling distracted.
Thank you. I feel a lot better. I do. Thank you, thank you,
That's
thank
really
you.
good. That's
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
good.
Doctor called in before while I was on the show and I had to pick it up if you missed it. So I had to
Yeah.
take the call. And of course, she's understanding.
Yes, yes.
As a coach, yeah, myteenlifecoach.com 770-235-8202. You could text her and her team. And how did you want to end the show for today? Anything you wanted to leave us with?
Yeah. Um, I think so. I want to continue just to let everybody know that we're doing summer intensives for high school kids. So go on the website. There's a pop-up that will come up there that will take you to the forum. If anybody wants to look into that and read more about it. It's a very affordable way for teens to get continuing support over the summer and enter the next school year with a lot more resilience. So I think it's just going to be highly valuable, and it's going to be something we'll run all the way through the year, but we're kind of launching it this summer. So so just go to our website. All the information you need is there.
Exciting. All right. Well, thank you so much. Great seeing you as always, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Thank you,
Have a
Jill.
great day and
You too,
happy.
especially.
Thank you. Yes. Yes. Happy coaching. Happy teaching.
Thank you.
Good
Take
luck
care.
with your kids.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.